Welcome back here, everyone. Continuing my Week 2 previews and analysis. This video is for the game between the Miami Dolphins and the Buffalo Bills. This game will take place up in Buffalo, and both these teams coming off very good Week 1 wins. You had Buffalo going on the road and beating the Bears, and Miami holding court at home, beating the division rival Patriots. So both these teams coming into this game on a very high note. You take a look at the Dolphins. I thought the Dolphins ran the ball better than anyone would have expected last week against New England. You had Knowshon Moreno, most notably, going over 130 yards. Was thought he was largely a product of Peyton Manning and that Broncos offense last year. Well, you know what? At least in Week 1, Knowshon Moreno proving them wrong. You saw Ryan Tannehill obviously play a lot better in the second half. Not a great game for him overall. I still think the key to this game is going to be for the Dolphins, limiting the turnovers from Tannehill and getting a good performance out of that defense once again, who stopped Tom Brady and that offense in their tracks last week. And much like against the Patriots, the Bills were very good as far as limiting the wide receivers of the Patriots. I think that's going to be something to watch here also against the Bills. Can they limit Sammy Watkins, Robert Woods and company, much like they did to that Patriot wide receiver core? We'll see how that plays out. Obviously, the play of Cameron Wake, who had 2 sacks last week, always important, especially important to me against still an inexperienced younger quarterback in E.J. Manuel. And to me, E.J. Manuel is still the biggest question mark for the Bills. How do they deal with the Knowshon Moreno, Lamar Miller combo? If there was one area of weakness last week for the Bills defense, it was the fact that Matt Forte was able to be effective on the ground and effective through the air catching the ball. And they're playing a team now, of course, in the Dolphins, who really have 2 guys that can be a dual threat. So we'll see how that goes. But let's not forget the Bills have some dual threat running backs as well that I thought were a major difference in the game last week. How well can the Bills protect E.J. Manuel? Certainly to me is going to be important in this one. As E.J. Manuel still in his development, really tries to take the next step here and be the reason why the Bills do win games and not win games in spite of him. We'll see if he can turn that corner consistently, like I said. But I think for the Bills, it all starts with that defense. Their ability to force turnovers last week and get after Jay Cutler a little bit, I thought was the difference in that game. Because let's face it, if you looked at those 2 teams and matched them up last week, the weaknesses for both teams lied to me in the back ends of their defense. And when you're back into your defense, can intercept the opposing quarterback, and when the front 7 can get after the opposing quarterback, it can cover up a lot of weaknesses you may have in coverage and otherwise. And I look for that to be the biggest key in this game. Which front 7 can get after the other team's quarterback and disrupt them the most, and in turn, which team can force the most turnovers. I think that's going to be key, and then also make sure to look out for which running backs are able to be most effective both in the ground game and coming out of the backfield. I think those are going to be the keys in this game and where they lie. These 2 teams, to me, very even, because I look at both as having developing quarterbacks, pretty good weapons on the offensive side of the ball, and I look for their front 7s to be relatively equal. To me, where I give the edge to Miami in this one is their secondary in the back end. I think it's a little bit better than the Bills at this point. I thought the Bills played excellent in Week 1. I think this game is one of the tougher games of the week to call. Don't forget, this is the Bills' home opener. Great fans up there in Buffalo. There's no denying that. But I came away from that game with the Dolphins and the Patriots so impressed with how that Dolphins defense clamped down in the second half. All right, which leads me to the fact that I like the Dolphins in this one. I like the Dolphins +1 on the road to go into Buffalo and win. And I don't think it's going to be a blowout. This doesn't mean I don't think the Bills are going to be improved this year, but I just think that the Dolphins, on the heels of a strong pass rush and a back end that I think is going to give E.J. Manuel problems in the pass game, I like Miami +1 in this one. Guys, let me know what you think. Hit me up in the comments. Hit me up on Twitter as well. Be sure to subscribe. Preview every game every week. Always talking the news of the day in the NFL. Thanks as always for listening. Be sure to subscribe. Have a great day.